Tonight we're hearing about yet another large project at the oceanfront. This one, in fact, is very large. It is 880 feet long, to be exact.
And that is the length of a new fishing pier that would replace the existing one on 15th Street. Robert Boyd has more on the proposal and why it's getting pushed back.
Well, during tonight's city council meeting, the majority of the public spoke out against this new pier project. They say they're not necessarily against the pier itself. What they are against is the process the city has taken to try to build it.
Lots of people here tonight and many watching at home have the perception that the project has been railroaded through an accelerated and abbreviated advertisement and bid process.
Virginia Beach residents questioning the city's ethics Tuesday when it comes to the bidding process for a new pier at the oceanfront. They say the city already began working with developer Bruce Thompson and the Virginia Beach Development Authority way before anything was finalized.
Because we're favoring a Pacific developer for what he exactly wants and giving him an unfair advantage over everybody else.
Council members John Moss and Bobby Dyer called for a review of the bidding process, if nothing else to prove transparency to the public, but the review was voted down.
It's a very complex project that should be articulated well to the public.
It adds to the credibility and the integrity of what we are doing.
The pier being proposed would consist of two levels. The lower level would be for fishing, and the upper level for restaurants, shops, and a 200-foot-high Ferris wheel. But many question if it's all necessary.
Just keep it simple. We don't need the Ferris wheel. We don't need the restaurants if it's going to take away from other people.
The pier would cost the city about $25 million, while the businesses would be privately owned and operated. Already established shops and eateries in the area are worried they won't survive.
Owner-operator down the oceanfront, Black Angus. I'm just concerned about the impact it's going to have.
Now, according to City Council, this pier could officially be voted on and approved as early as next month. In Virginia Beach, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
Virginia Beach is trying to tighten its grip on Airbnbs and other short-term rentals across the city. Today, the city released a potential list of new regulations homeowners will have to follow if they plan to rent out houses or rooms for 30 days or less. Some of the notable rules include making sure guests have a designated parking spot, making sure they follow noise ordinance, and keeping the number of guests to 3 or less per room.
I think it needs to be very specific what the ordinances are. I think people need to understand they're responsible for the people that are in that house, they're responsible for their actions.
City says the rules would impact an estimated 1,700 properties in the city. City Council is expected to vote on the new ordinances later this year.
The Newport News School Board is trying to figure out the best option for moving Huntington Middle School students out of their aging building. Tonight, the acting superintendent presented a recommendation. It would reassign 5th graders to Hines and Crittenton Middle Schools. Current 6th and 7th graders would move with their teachers to a separate wing at Heritage High School. Public meetings are scheduled on the coming weeks. The school board is scheduled to vote on March 27th.
The Ghent Dog Park debate has been muzzled for now. The Ghent Dog Park Association met with city leaders tonight in a closed meeting, and they reached a compromise.
The debate has been over extending the dog park hours. New Herd talked to the association president about the deal.
Well, guys, we were stopped at the door by the vice mayor, even though we were initially told by the association the meeting was open. But the Ghent Dog Park Association president filled me in after this hour-long meeting. He says their initial proposal was denied, but both sides did reach a compromise that could possibly work for everyone. From sunset to sunrise. That's how Ghent dog owners plan their time at Barclay Gardens, the dog park near Princess Anne. But all of that changed Tuesday night.
Ultimately, it's our job to advocate for the dog park users.
The Ghent Dog Park Association and their president, Dan McNamara, were at a meeting with Norfolk City leaders to discuss extending the dog park hours in the winter months. McNamara says during those months, the sun sets much earlier, reducing dog park usage hours. Since the concerns were brought up in November, McNamara says they've surveyed hundreds of people, some for it, some against it.
I was more on the side of letting it stay open a little longer, since people do work during the day and they have limited time they can get their dog to exercise.
In Tuesday's meeting, which was attended by Vice Mayor Teresa Whibley and Councilwoman Andrea McClellan, both sides came to a compromise. The new hours would be 7 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. during the winter months. They'll test it out until April, then see what the feedback is like.
At the end of the day, what this is about is whether or not it works for the dog park users. We have concerns about people that are being able to use it in the morning.
McNamara says he hoped it would be open earlier at 6:30, but the city didn't go for it. McClellan tweeted that the compromise is good news and she looks forward to this pilot.
We hope that people will contact us and let us know, contact city council members and let them know if that's not working out for them.
All right, so all of this will happen fast. The hours become effective tomorrow. As far as locking the park, the association says the city will stop locking the gate, but they are urging people not to use the park past 7:30 at night. Chanu Hurt, 13 News Now.
Bicyclist was badly hurt after a car hit him tonight in Norfolk. Police were called to East 26th Street and Villa Circle around 6:30. We're told the man on the bike was seriously injured and rushed to the hospital. The driver of the car stayed on scene. Police say charges are pending based on what the investigation turns up.
The Justice Department says it is moving quickly with its review of bump stock devices after President Trump directed the agency to propose a ban. The devices allow semi-automatic rifles to fire faster. They became very controversial after it was revealed that the gunman used them in last year's Las Vegas massacre. The Justice Department announced in December that it was reviewing whether bump stocks are prohibited under federal law. Local law enforcement continue to investigate threats posted on social media sites against schools and students. The latest threat was made against Blair Middle School in Norfolk tonight. There have been numerous threats posted in recent days. A clinical psychologist called them copycat threats following the Florida school shooting. The doctor told us those making the threats were either doing it for attention or they may be dealing with other issues.
Tonight, Virginia Beach police have identified a man accused of shooting and killing a teen at the oceanfront. Police have obtained warrants to charge Andre Giroux Bigby with second-degree murder, but they don't have him. So they're asking the public to call in any tips that might lead to Bigby's arrest. A second man, Henry Smith III, is already in custody and charged in the case. The men are facing charges in connection with the shooting death of 19-year-old Jalen Harris. Last Wednesday, you may recall, Harris's body was found in a car that crashed near 16th Street at the oceanfront. The motive in this shooting, we're told, is still unknown. Tonight, we know the man shot to death in Newport News this afternoon was just 23 years old. Police identified the victim as Devin Bowles and say he lived on 12th Street. We brought you this as breaking news earlier. Officers were called to Lassiter Drive just before 3 o'clock. Bowles was found shot to death off of Ivy Avenue, not far from King Lincoln Park. Investigators have not identified any possible suspects. We want to warn you, some may find this next story disturbing. A Henrico father and his 20-year-old daughter are facing charges for allegedly having an incestuous relationship. According to court documents, 42-year-old Stephen Plattle and his daughter Katie now have a baby together. Police say Katie's parents gave her up for adoption when she was a baby, but she reconnected with them a few years ago when she turned 18. The alleged incest happened when she moved back in with her biological parents and two younger sisters. An 11-year-old sister says she found her father and sister Katie in bed together. Some are wondering why both father and daughter were charged.
It could be that the prosecution charged both, wanting to further investigate and determine how it came about before making an ultimate decision.
There is a protective order against the father to keep him from seeing any of his daughters.
The Currituck County High School community is rallying around 3 students who were injured in a serious car crash. North Carolina Highway Patrol tells us the teen's car was hit by a pickup Sunday afternoon along Route 158. The 3 teens were trapped and had to be flown to Centera Norfolk General Hospital. One of the students has been released, but the 2 others have very serious injuries. Word of the crash has hit students very hard. They could be seen joining hands praying for the safe recovery of their classmates.
It affects everybody in the school. You can just feel a difference in the climate.
I didn't know the extent of the accident, so I was kind of like hoping that it wouldn't be as bad.
At last check, the driver who hit the teens is not facing any charges.
Tonight, it's a first one for the nation's oldest university. Today, the College of William and Mary announced its 28th president. Catherine Rowe will be the first female to serve in that role in the college's 325-year history. The announcement was even more significant as William and Mary is celebrating its 100th year since the first female student enrolled. The campus buzzing with excitement today.
I'm honored beyond words to be the first woman president, and more than that, honored to be at an institution that expresses the values that I care about.
It's a really great time for the college in general.
Dr. Rowe will replace President Taylor Reevely, who is retiring. She will officially take over starting July 1st. Senator Tim Kaine posted his congratulations on Facebook. He says Dr. Rowe is an excellent pick to lead the alma mater of the nation. I look forward to seeing William and Mary continue to excel and move forward under Rowe.